what you want to, what you said you were when I met you.
First of all, thank you so much for taking the time, and it's so wonderful to meet you, kind of face to face, but through Skype.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
Ah, great. So I'm so excited to talk about Sisters of the Valley and your journey and the use of medical marijuana and just how different people can incorporate it in their lives. And first, I would love for you, if it's okay, to explain kind of your background and how you got to be known as the Sister Occupy in 2011, and then how it transitioned to becoming the founder of Sisters of the Valley and all the great work you're doing today.
So I had lived in Europe for nearly a decade before I came back to America. I went through a very bad divorce that left me penniless, not a new story, and 3 middle schoolers to support. And I was very disgusted with what had happened to America in my decade away. It looked, some classic examples is I had to go to a book signing and drive through the Mojave Desert. I was real excited to stop at a Native American town, but the first thing I saw when I stopped was a Costco, a Kmart, and a Target, and a Bolero, and that town looked like every other town. And that's my most startling thing after a decade of being away was how America looked exactly the same from sea to shining sea. And it was very disturbing to me because the cultural differences of Europe are so stark. You know, you go from the Netherlands to Belgium to France, and you're looking at different things all the time and different beauties. The other thing that from my travels in Europe, I could tell the difference. You learn to tell the difference between a conquered nation and the conquerors. You know, go to England and go to Ireland. Ireland's a shabby version of England. Go to Malta, go to Italy. Malta's a shabby version of Italy. Go to where the people are conquered and you see a shabby version of the conqueror's life or home or whatever, land. So America looked to me like a conquered people. In fact, the very first stop off of an airplane with my children was an ice cream sort of truck, and standing in line, all of the people had ripped clothes. So my daughter asked rather loudly, "Are all the people in America poor?" So in other words, we dress like a conquered people, we act like a conquered people. Also, the sign of a conquered people is where you fight against your leadership instead of working with your leadership. So we are like the problem with the Middle East, where they've never been self-ruled, and they only know how to fight against their ruling class. And so it sets a stage for you will never progress together.
Yeah.
And so all of that is what I saw back here in America. I was very disgusted. And my family didn't want to hear from me. They're all like, "Oh, shut up. You know, we don't want to hear about it." But I was disturbed. I was disturbed, like, what is going on here? When the Occupy movement came along, I then felt like I found my family, my true family. I found the other people who were pissed off and who understood what was going on around here. When Michelle Obama tried to talk to Congress about how unhealthy our children's meals are, and they filibustered and then met a week later on taxpayer money to declare pizza a vegetable so they could count the tomato sauce as a healthy portion. It was too much for me. I declared myself a nun. At the time, I felt like a nun anyway. I was running a nonprofit delivering cannabis to dying people. The only people the doctors here would send me are severely, like, neurologically challenged or dying. Mm-hmm. And most of even the neurologically challenged were also dying. So I felt like a nun. I was taking cannabis to people who couldn't pay for it. But when you start delivering to a dying patient, you don't stop. Whether their kids pay for it or not, you go get them their medicine. And I was raising and cooking and cleaning for a family of 6 children from ages of 14 to 21. So I really did feel like a nun. I had no life. And so it wasn't that big of a stretch for me to declare myself a nun. But the kids who heard my comment when I said if pizza is a vegetable, I'm a nun, the college kids said, you need to do that. And when we go to Occupy Saturday, you need to go as a self-declared anarchist nun. So it was my college kids that sort of went, you need to do that. So I did it kind of on a dare and kind of as an anarchist sort of finger to the establishment. But it turned into something. So while I was out at protest, well, immediately, like within one visit, the Occupy movement had dubbed me Sister Occupy. And then the Fresno Alliance published a series of articles I wrote about, pieces of vegetable and where are the clergy, because as I was out protesting for busing strikes, or for any kind of labor strike, or for busing services being canceled for our kids, or for port workers' rights, wherever we were marching, or for housing rights, wherever we were marching, people would ask me, if I was Catholic, that was the number one question. I would say no, that I'm a lone activist, anarchist, self-declared nun. Then their next question would be, oh, that's awesome. How can I join you?
Yeah.
And then I would have to say, no, you don't understand. I'm an activist, anarchist, self-declared single nun. And they would say, but you need to organize this because I want to join you. And it was men and women.
Yep.
And so that led to about 3 years of a 3-year discussion before Sisters of the Valley was formed.
Beautiful. That's incredible. So how big is Sisters of the Valley today? Like, how many people are living and working on, is it 10 acres, cultivating marijuana?
Oh, no. We
Okay.
just have our first farm, and it's only 1 acre.
Okay.
It looks like 10 acres based on the videos and the footage, but it's only 1 acre.
Okay, so 1 acre. And how many other women are there with you, or men as well, too?
Well, we have, essentially, we patterned ourselves after our Beguine mothers. The Beguines, is it okay if I talk about the Beguines?
Please do, yes.
They and that relates to housing. I'll get us back to housing.
Okay.
The Beguines were like the precursors to the Catholic nuns.
Okay.
And we believe that the Beguines were burnt at the stake as witches during a time when any scholarly woman who set up her own study and who is spiritually empowered or self-empowered would have been burned at the stake. The Beguines believed in private property ownership of women. So even though the Catholic nuns came along, they introduced, in the 880s, they introduced the concept of celibacy, and they introduced the concept of no property. Before that, we had enclaves of women who were our first nurses in the castles in the Middle East. They grew hemp, they made holistic medicines, they made textiles, they supported themselves, and they took in young women and taught them trades, gave them housing, and gave them honorable jobs. They attracted wealthy women because of their excellence. People came from far and around to the castles to buy the products of the Beguines because they were known for their excellence and they were known for standing behind what they did. And they were smart business women, and they owned property and they owned businesses. And therefore, they went extinct. And so we relate to our pre-Christian Beguine mothers, which some people, so we have an ongoing debate on whether we're Wiccan or not. We don't feel Wiccan, but in truth, the practices of our pre-Christian Beguine mothers were more like the practices of the Native Americans, and those are more Wiccan. They're more self-empowering. They're not about begging, they're about creating. So we're instead of being so much about prayer, we're about meditation. So we relate to our ancient Beguine mothers. In that light, we don't want to live together like we're a bunch of women living together in a house who all get their cycle together. We believe that everyone needs to be king or queen of their own castle.
Yes.
So we have 2 houses on the property right now. Sister Evie and I live here, but there's also 2 other sisters. Sorry, now there's 3 of us living here. But so Sister Alice lives in an RV that we've converted into like an apartment, a private apartment. And Sister Evie lives here and I live here. There's 3 of us that live here. Sister Cass and Sister Freya come to work here every day. So there's 5 of us here. But we have Sister Gina in a little town of Auburn, north of Sacramento. She makes our holy soap. So she lives up there, 2-3 hours away from us, joins us when she can. In Toronto, we have 3 sisters, and in New Zealand, we have 3, although neither of those sets of women have taken their vows yet. They've just begun working with us. And we don't let anybody take their vows until they've worked with us for a while, basically because we go by the principle that in this day and age, that there is so much messaging thrown at people that we've created a situation where everybody's full of shit. You can't believe anything anybody says. I mean, I could watch a program on the ice caps melting on Netflix and the next day convince you that I am Al Gore. It's the way it is. That's how words have become so cheap. So a sister becomes a sister only after we've worked with her, because we believe you can't know somebody until you've worked with them.
Mm-hmm. I honor that declaration. Yeah, I believe that's very true as well. And so I guess let's get to the main focus of your work, which is cultivating marijuana and making various herbal remedies, tinctures, ointments. I'm sure you can elaborate more into that. How does blessing it with intention heighten its abilities, I suppose, to contribute to healing and raise consciousness?
Well, it's not just the cannabis plant. We set out to create an environment. Here's what's happened. For the last 2,000 years, Christianity has, and so have other organized religions, not just Christianity, have super disempowered women. I don't know how else to say it. They've taken away our spiritual leadership power. So we're trying to live a walk where it's spirituality, activism, and service to the people. So in doing that, we want to do all our work in a spiritual environment. I mean, even if I have to get on the phone and yell at my credit card processor because they're holding my money, I mean, in theory, I am supposed to do a prayer that puts me in touch with the earth and in touch with my higher self before I start that grueling phone call. So we're trying to create an environment where everything we do is in excellence. And we believe that the best way to do everything in excellence is to do it in an environment of spirituality and prayer, in an environment of reverence, like we treat our work with reverence. Okay. So it's not just the plants. But to answer your question about the plants, at a Women Grow meeting in the Central Valley, I got the best explanation of this from a woman grower. Her and her husband both lost their jobs. He had done some growing. She had never done growing. So when she lost her job, I guess for a while he was growing and she was supporting him. When she lost her job, she wanted to become a grower. So she insisted on equal and same environment for her plants as his plants. And she prayed on her plants and meditated with her plants daily. And she, at the end, so 2 different rooms, same lighting, same soil, same babies, same plants, same everything, same water, same nutrients, same light. The only difference was that she prayed and meditated with her plants every day, and she got a 20% higher output. So that's a very capitalist way of looking at it, but we are living in a very capitalist world, and so everybody can relate to it. Suddenly, there's a reason. That's not the reason I do it. I do it because we believe that the energy of intention travels with the medicine. And so that if we allowed people to say hateful things around our medicine would be contaminated with that hateful energy. So we're attempting to do a very, very honorable walk for 2 reasons. Because we believe the energy travels with the medicine, but also because this medicine has been disrespected for 200 years. And so we feel that it's very, very important that this medicine now for the next 200 years be over-respected. That's the pendulum swing we're looking for.
I love it. And thank you so much. That's exactly the explanation I was hoping to get out of you. So let's see. Can you tell, because I know there's a lot of people who would love to know more just about the personal cultivation method there. Like, do you guys prefer certain sativas over indicas? Do you even pay much attention to because some people say it doesn't even matter, but more of the terpene profile for the medicinal portion, or?
Yeah, actually, cannabis is going through its phases. Yeah. So, 5 years ago, I had to really be able to speak indica and sativa. I don't even talk about that anymore. Okay. No one talks about it. And I don't really understand terpenes that well. I did my first terpene test here in the last month or 2 because I didn't understand it. And we always just skip those tests because they're more expensive. But now we're wanting to prove in our lab tests that we do have terpenes that only come from the natural plants. Okay. So I'm still learning about that. What we're going for, because we are non-psychoactive and we're shipping our products around the world, is we go for high CBD. So this year we planted and grew 30 remedy plants because that was supposed to give us a 15% CBD and under 1% THC. The reason why we care, the only thing we care about is under 0.3% THC, is that the whole world would like the raw plant. Mm-hmm. There are women all over the world that would like to take the raw plant by the ounce or 5 ounces and make their own butter for grandma or make their own thing in their own kitchen. Right now we can't sell raw plant unless we can get plant that tests out at under 0.3%. We can sell it in the U.S., but we don't want to have two classes of customers, like our U.S. customers and our European customers. We either sell it or we don't sell it. So we have been every crop working towards. Now, when I began 3 years ago, the lowest THC percentage in my crop was like 4%. And then I would have to engineer to cook that plant into my salves and my tinctures and have it come out 0.3% or less. Now we're actually getting CBD strains that are under 1%. And very soon we should be getting CBD strains that are under 0.3. As soon as we can test under 0.3% THC, regardless of the CBD, whether it's 10% or 20%, we can now start selling bulk tea and shipping that around the world.
Incredible. Definitely looks like it's a worked out system.
We have a very unique perspective of what's going on, though, because we're not working in the psychoactives.
Yeah.
We like the psychoactives. We smoke the psychoactives. We buy our psychoactives. You can see our little containers here. But that's not our business, because we want to get part of our mission statement is to get the most amount of medicine to the most amount of people around the world. That's our mission. To do that, we have to stick with CBD and non-smokable products.
I guess that leads us to another question. I was reading about how you refer to the cannabis plant as like the real Holy Trinity due to a few different reasons. Could you elaborate on that? If you don't know what I mean, I think I pulled up a blurb here. And I just could totally confuse you.
I think it's hilarious because somebody said the cannabis plant is our Holy Trinity. A newspaper reporter said that. And I was like, how can one thing be a trinity? One thing cannot be a trinity. Exactly. And no one in the media called him on it. Like an echo chamber, it went out, and no one stopped to go, in my experience, a trinity has three things. So it's really annoying to me, because I said our Holy Trinity is service, activism, and spirituality.
Perfect,
the service to the people is getting the word out about CBD. Activism and spirituality, you know what those things are. Mm-hmm. But because so many people have said that the cannabis plant is our Holy Trinity, I actually, in the last couple of days, came up with a cannabis plant Holy Trinity analogy.
Really?
And that would be that, and that is that the plant is compassionate, it is cooperative, and it is intelligent. So there is a Holy Trinity. I had to invent a Holy Trinity, features, characteristics of the cannabis plant in order to fit the media's whispering about our Holy Trinity. And so I decided that we've always referred to it as an intelligent plant. Yeah. We've always referred to it as a compassionate plant. But we've never referred to it before as a cooperative. And I think we need to continue saying it's a cooperative, because we are now realizing that people who are using chemo and people who are using diabetes medicine and so forth, that the cannabis is enhancing that, which means it's cooperative. So now they have their Holy Trinity.
Thank you for that clarification. And, I will include in the original article that was a misunderstanding, but of course now the Holy Trinity as described, if you desire. But,
okay, cool.
What's the story or two you could share about people who have utilized the medicine you guys have helped produce and shared their healing story with you? Anything of inspiration maybe you could recollect?
Yes, there's lots we hear new things all the time. So just this week, somebody with bad acne reported that they're using our double strength CBD coconut oil to put right on their skin. Now, you have to understand, we created double strength with a dropper, so you drop it on your tongue for seriously ill and cancer patients. Oh, wow. So you're supposed to take it on your tongue. So, but it's the same way we found out about our topical salve helping people sleep, make hangovers go away. People are replacing their sleeping pills with our topical salve by rubbing it on their temples and behind their ears or on their neck before they go to sleep at night. So the public is being very experimental. Never did I think that that my topical salve would be helping people get off their pills, but that is in fact what's happening. And the people tell us. So our miracle stories are like a woman who was young, about 32, had a stroke, and half of her face was frozen. And she started putting the salve on every day, and within 6 months, she had all her muscles back.
Oh my goodness.
And so we've heard that story more than once. We've had a man who had a brain tumor tell us that the only thing he did different was he took our tincture every day for 90 days. In 90 days, he went back, and the tumor was shrunk 95%. Now, we can't do much with these claims because we're not doctors and scientists. I am, in fact, right now trying to get together a group of doctors. I've had my first reach out, and I want to organize them so that they take these claims and they follow up and they do something scientific, because we have about 500 or 600, maybe 1,000 if you count Facebook testimonials, and no one's really following up with that, and they should be. We should be treating it like science. We believe that the intelligent nature of the cannabis plant helps with so many things that it's hard to say you should use it for this or this. We're basically like, if you have pain, you need to try CBD. If you have something in your body that's not working right, you need to try CBD. And if you're in a cannabis state, we tell a lot of people that if they're in a state where they can get cannabis, they need to get the rest of it, that we would be offering the THC if it was legal for us to do so.
Yeah. And as of January 2018, this next year, it'll be legal for recreational use in California, yeah? But that won't change your guys' vision. As you said, you're going to stick what you
it doesn't.
Other plants?
It doesn't really change. Yeah, but we both have flies. I'm batting at flies. You're batting at flies. It doesn't really change anything for us, because if we, it's much more highly regulated and taxed if you're in the THC business. Mm-hmm. But what we've decided to do was, we do want to get it. We would like to have Sisters of the Valley vape pens and THC products. So that's where we're going to let the men play with us. We've decided that so that we can keep our focus on the non-psychoactive, and so the sisters can continue to say, we are only working with non-psychoactive. We are starting to entertain deals with brothers, men, and men with big grow operations, and potentially creating some wealth for the sisters through a THC line.
Wonderful. Well, that's great. I look forward to seeing how that develops. So CBD, I believe that's legal in all 50 states in the U.S. now. So is that correct from your recollection?
Yeah, well, we don't pay any attention because, here's the problem. This is like my mother. My mother's like 87 years old. She insists that CBD is not legal in Wisconsin, so she has me ship her the salve, and then she sells it to her friends, and then she acts like she is the drug runner of the century, sneaking in the CBD salve to the old people who are all Republican and voted for Trump, but now they got knee pain and they need cannabis medicine. So, no, here's the problem with saying CBD is legal or not. If you have CBD oil that is combined with THC oil that is over 0.3% THC, so like Rick Simpson oil, yes, which is more like a 1-to-1, then yes, that's illegal in every state. But if you have CBD that's under 0.3% that's considered hemp like we do, then you're legal everywhere. And we're not just the States, but in the Middle East and in Ireland, England, and Russia, and Japan. We ship everywhere. 20% of our annual sales are around the globe. So, but that's because we're considered hemp. Okay. And because we test to make sure we're under 0.3%, we're hemp. Okay. So the argument about CBD has to be taken in context of, is it also married to a high percent of THC? Because then, yes, mother, it would be illegal. But mom, mine's not that stuff.
That's great clarification. Again, a lot of the information you're dropping is stuff I didn't even know, so I appreciate that. And that's good to know. So because it's classified as hemp, people who are watching this in pretty much everywhere, they could get access to the medicine themselves.
Yes, and they should. And they should. Here's my thing. I think women all around the world should call or order from Attitude Seed Bank out of the UK strains of seeds, or they can write me and I'll give them some strains of seeds that, because we've given them away before, that are meant to be under 1% THC and over 10% CBD. And every woman should take the seeds and grow them inside and outside in their yard and grow them wild and grow them everywhere. Because one time a thief would steal that weed and try to sell it. And the thieves would get killed because they're going to sell it like it's going to get someone high. They're going to sell it for $1,000 a pound, and they're going to get killed. And bingo, we've just wiped out all the thieves, and we're free to go forward. So my point is, women need to grow this everywhere. Yes. And then dare the law to shut them down, because all the laws were made for the psychoactive cannabis. None of the laws were made for hemp. So the women really need to lead this charge, I think, and growing it along windowsills, growing it outside, pollinating everywhere, that these colas are popping up and no one can tell the difference between one that'll get you high and one that won't get you high, it would really solve the criminal problem.
Yeah, there's incredible logic there. And statistically, women are actually taking charge more in the cannabis industry, which is incredible, in every different department. And again, coupled with the appreciation of the divine feminine, kind of bringing that back around again. We've lived in such a patriarchal society for so long that it's time. I love the merging of all the different theories and the practical applications that the Sisters of the Valley is. So that's incredible.
And even the men, like you said, even the men are sick of patriarchal rule. Yeah. Even the men want feminine rule, or they wouldn't have our backs. They wouldn't be with us if they didn't want it. They want it.
Well, I definitely believe that men and women, we all have a balance of the yin, the yang, the male, the female energies within us. And when society's out of balance, it's usually an extension of people being out of balance. And we all need to, including the men, need to kind of embrace more of the divine feminine and keep good balance so that we can create in a society, an environment where everyone thrives, not just a few. And I think those who are involved in this industry specifically, and of course other people who are being interviewed as part of this Activism Speaks series, who are advocating for different areas of change, are all on the same page with that as well too. There just needs to be equality and balance, and we need to honor that divine feminine.
Absolutely, and we always say we have to do better than the men did, because they succeeded on the backs of women, and we don't want to disrespect our men that way. We want them to succeed side by side us, and that's what we're out to prove, that we women can be elevated without stepping on, humiliating, or showing contempt for men. We can honor our men and still elevate our women, and that's what we're out to prove.
Yes.
It's coming. It's very exciting times. I'm very excited. I feel like for the women, our time has come. And now the challenge is we have to do it really, really honorably. We have to be really good. We don't get to be slutty or naughty or lazy or stupid. We have been called to this work, and now we have to bring our best and our most spiritual and our most honorable selves to the work.
Beautiful. Well, I feel like we've covered so much incredible information, and I'm excited to share it with other people. But before we round out this interview, is there anything you'd like to tell viewers today when it comes to probably the acceptance of the marijuana plant, the attitude towards decriminalization, and also its use as medicine in our world?
Yeah, I would say that if to the people who have just turned the corner, to the people who have shamed people, like I'm talking about our aging baby boomers, who have been all against the cannabis plant, who punished the kid who smelled like weed and rewarded the kid who was a drunk, who punished the kid who smoked weed but rewarded the kid who took pills. All those people who were part of that culture now are waking up. And it's not enough that they wake up. They need to become freaking evangelists to make up for their sins and their shame against the cannabis plant. So I have that to say to them. And then for those growers and all those people who honored and worked the plant and distributed the plant through prohibition and with high risk, you are our patron saints. You are our heroes. We honor you and we love you.
Beautiful. Well said. Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, well, it's nice talking to you.
Okay. Have a wonderful day, okay?
You too.
You can still be what you want to, what you said you were.